Hey everybody, I'm Chris, the founder of Luki Bike Adventures, and today I am working on this specialized hot rock we've been working on for a little while now. Got a few different videos on it. We're getting close to being done with it. And today I'm working on the shifting, specifically this rear derailleur. Let me show you exactly what's happening here. So I put this rack here because I feel like it's a little easier to see. To kind of block some of the background. See what's happening a little bit better. So from here we have the different gears here, right? You can see my pointer, I hope. And the chain is here. And we've got two jockey wheels. The first one right here, and the second one down here. And you want the two jockey wheels to be in line with the gear that you're in. And hopefully you can see that that is not the case here. This bottom jockey wheel, if I just take my pointer and try to put it as best I can vertically, like that, it's in line with, that's really hard to do from that angle. So if I line this up vertically with that sprocket there, or this gear, it's like in line here, in this gear, way over here. When the chain is right there, so the wheel really needs to be like over here instead. And so that's quite a bit of difference from this point to that point. And so what causes that typically is if you drop the bike or you fell or just laid it down even, and just the weight of the bike can bend this inward like that. And we want it to come back out that way so it's lined up with the proper gear. And so this can cause a lot of problems with shifting. It can make it so that it just doesn't even ride well. It could, because it's constantly having pressure, the chain is being pushed that way. You're never going to be able to adjust it correctly. And it can also be a bit dangerous because if you're right here in this furthest out gear, if it doesn't ride smoothly, maybe not a big deal. You can still ride. It'll just be annoying and maybe harder than it needs to be. But if you're all the way in this big ring and the chain is that far over, it can start banging into the spokes and could cause some damage and, cause you to fall and all that. It's not good. So we need to either replace this or we could just bend the derailleur hanger back. And that's what we're going to do. So we have just give you a little bit of motion sickness. So I move that around. So this is the derailleur hanger. It's a separate piece from the derailleur itself. Not all bikes have these. Some of them have like a claw, and so it's essentially the derailleur hanger built into it. And I think if that's the case, then you probably have to replace the whole unit. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you have to replace the whole unit in that case. But with this one, the hanger is separate from the derailleur. And this is a softer metal, so that if you do fall or lay your bike down or whatever, instead of the derailleur, which is a more complex and more sensitive part, also more expensive part, instead of that getting damaged, the softer metal just bends, and then you can just bend this back. Or possibly, replace it, which will still be cheaper, most likely, than the replacing the derailleur itself. So, in order to do that, you only need a couple things, but one of them is a very specialized tool. Not specialized the brand, but like specialized, like specific for this. You're not going to be able to pick this up at, a hardware store. You got to get it from a bike shop or order it or whatever. But this one is made by Power Tool. The DAG-2.2. There's also a 3-point something, which in my opinion is nicer, but it costs significantly more and seems to be back ordered for a really long time. I've been waiting to get it, but I can't spend my entire life waiting for that, and it costs a lot more anyway, so I went ahead and just got this one. It's the Derailleur hanger alignment gauge, is what they call it. But it's more than just a gauge. It actually, you can use it to bend it back. So we're going to need one of these guys, and then you'll need something, whoops, like this to remove the derailleur. Let's see if I can get a good angle for this. I don't know. We'll try that. So the chain puts quite a bit of pressure on the derailleur. So I usually just kind of hold on to it and put some full back pressure on it to make sure the chain's not going to pull it all crazy when I loosen this. If you have the chain off already, then, you know, it's just that much easier. So just loosen that up. Have a good grip on the derailleur. And then, you know, for some reason, just let it go as you loosen it up. Let it go flying. And now, if we, let's see, let's take a look at this on this side. Again. And you can see here, hopefully you can see that. Here's my pointer. The hanger here is actually rubbing against the chain. Like, I can't even fit this little zip tie in between there. It's actually rubbing them against there. So that's no good. That's not what we want. We want to have some clearance in between there. And so you take this guy, and it's got a threaded bolt, and you just want to put that in there. And I'm aware that I'm spinning it backwards. But I often, there we go, do that because it's a good way to make sure you don't accidentally cross thread or strip your threads. If you go backwards first and then you do it slowly and you can feel like a click and where it kind of will like settle down into the threads, and then you turn it the correct way and it tightens up nicely and you don't have to worry about cross threading, causing any damage in that way. All right, let me spin you guys around again. All right, let's like that. And so now, hopefully you can see this here. So it's got a knob here so that you can slide this forward and back, and it will also go up and down. And so you want to turn your wheel until you get to the valve. It doesn't have to be that. You could also, you know, maybe do the reflector, or if there's a sticker or some sort of marking, but you want to measure at the same spot every time. And that way, in case the wheel is not completely true, and it more than likely isn't, if you're measuring at the same spot every time, then it's taking that into account and you're keeping it straight. So I'm just going to do the valve because that's what I always do. Not every tire has a, or sorry, not every wheel has a reflector, but they all have a valve, right? So tighten that up. You want to butt this up right next to it, just barely touching. And then tighten that down. And now I can lift this up. And let me back up a little bit. And now I can go up to the top and get it aligned with the valve again. Bring that up to the top as well. And measure here. Now, I don't know how well you guys can see that. But remember how it was touching down here? There's no gap. No. There's a huge gap here. Now, according to the manual, it says if you've got a 4 millimeter or less gap, then you're in alignment and it's fine. This is a lot more. I can fit almost 3 fingers in here. If you're not sure what 4 millimeters is, you can get a 4 millimeter hex wrench, and that it's 4 millimeters all the way around. And so you can just put that in between there, use that as a reference. And yeah, we've far exceeded that. So what you do now is, sticking that back in my pocket, you just use this and you get quite a bit of leverage to just bend it. So like literally just bending. So I'm going to push this in, and it's metal, so it's going to kind of have a little bit of spring back. So I'm going to push it in a little bit, and I'm going to go slow and gently but forcefully, and then it's going to come back out a little bit. And so now I'm going to bring that here. It's like, okay, it's a lot closer now. And so something to keep in mind, so we still got a lot of space there, but as I'm pushing this in, I'm getting it closer here, but it's also pulling the bottom away from there. So if I move this around again, it's going to change here. So now this is no longer touching. I got quite a bit of space down here now. So now I'm not going to just go ahead and just push that in again. That's going to counteract what I was doing. But I'm going to readjust down here. And I could have done it up top as well. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. Bring that in so it's touching again. And see how we're doing up here now. And so now it looks like actually I went, looks like I actually went too far. Right? So now it's actually going, it's touching the valve. So I need to pull it back out. But before I do that, I'm actually going to come 90 degrees and see how it is there. So this way. The main focus is going to be up and down vertically, but I also like to check in this direction as well. And as you adjust one side, it adjusts the other side. And it's a circle, so it adjusts everything. So I typically do top. I start at the bottom, top, and do the outside. I typically don't do this side just because this is kind of all in the way and I don't want to be bothered with it. But if these three are all good, then the rest of it's pretty good as well, most likely. And so I'm just pulling it. A little bit more. All right, let's see how we're doing here. And it all kind of, they all affect each other. So I'm going to reset down here again. And I'm just going to keep doing that until basically we get to a point where they're all just about equal within, you know, that 4 millimeters. And this is, you know, like most things, you gotta do a little bit. Take a measurement. Do a little bit more. Take a measurement. What do you call it? Like basically like a missile. Just take constant measurements. Tweak, tweak, tweak until you get where you want to be. So that's pretty good there. That's pretty good there. That's just a tad off here. So I'm just gonna push in a little bit there. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. There, and that's just barely touching there. Just barely touching there. A little bit slightly over touching there, but I feel like that's probably close enough. If any of them is going to be off, it's this one that you want it to be off, but it's close. It's close. It's within that 4. What is this thing? It's within the 4 millimeters, so I think it's fine. I'm saying it's fine, but I'm also gonna pull that just a little bit more. Just a little bit. I don't want to do too much. Oh, see now I was screwed with it. Because everything you do, it affects it in the other dimensions as well. We're pretty close right now. I think we're within that 4 for sure. Honestly, the better you can get it, the better it is, you know. But and realistically, it doesn't have to be in these 4 spots. You can pick any 4 or 3 or whatever. Just be consistent. And these are the ones that make the most sense for me. I mean, I could check over here. Well, nothing bad will happen. That's pretty close. I think that's probably as close as I'm going to get it without being, without nitpicking too much. All right, so now let me just loosen that up. And, oh, you know, let's come over and look at this again. Remember how before that was, let me see. There was no gap here and I couldn't fit. Now I can. There's a little bit of a gap. It's only, maybe 2 millimeters or so. But I can easily fit this in between there now. So that is good. And you see there's a lip here. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lip here. And so part of the derailleur sits on that. And so now I'm just going to put this back on. And then turn it, get it going a little bit and then lift it up so that it goes on top of that lip. As I tighten it back down. And let it drop down. And so, there we go. Get it nice and snug. And now, when we look at this, look at that. Can you see how the everything is now nice and lined up? It should be going. It's hard for me to see from this angle, but this should all line up. If I'm on here, it should hit all the chain, the sprocket, the jockey wheels. They should all line up vertically nicely, and it looks like they do. So I think we are Gucci, and at this point we can start to adjust the shifting, and that'll be the next video. Like and subscribe if this was interesting or helpful to you in some kind of way. You could check out this bike and there are other bikes in our fleet. We are always accepting donations to try to help get these bikes fixed up. They're going to be this particular bike. I don't think I'm going to donate. We're going to use this one on our excursions. So we'll be able to take some kid who normally would not be able to a mountain biking trail or a dirt trail or whatever. But we're going to get them outside, riding their bikes, building some skills, teaching them how to fix bikes. And we are a nonprofit dedicated to that. So if that sounds cool to you and you want to help out, check out the links below. Head to our website or our GoFundMe page, or actually CashApp is the coolest because there's no fees with that one. There are if I try to transfer the money to a different account, but I don't. I just use the CashApp card to buy all the parts and stuff that we need. And so that's actually the way that we get to use the most of the donation, as opposed to GoFundMe and the website. They both take like 2% or something like that. Not huge, but if you want to give us $20, CashApp gives us the full $20. So, and $20 is significant because this bike needs about $22 worth of parts. So $22 will get us everything we need. All right, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.